Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Hello, It's Better to Talk. And I'm absolutely delighted today to be welcoming Helen Dewdney, who is also known as the Complaining Cow, which is presumably that was a name that you brought on yourself there, Helen, the Complaining Cow.
Yeah, well, actually, there is a story behind it. In that, when I started the blog back in 2012, 2013, and it was just going to be on a hobby and just writing up stories of getting redress for friends and family and myself. And I just put it on my Facebook, on my ordinary Facebook page. I could do a blog. What should I call it? And a couple of suggestions came through, and the Complaining Cow was one of them. And I put it out to vote, and there it was. And then it became the title of my blog, and it stuck. People can remember it a lot easier than the name Helen Dewdney. So
yeah. And you are a best-selling author of 2 books and one's to come as well. So the How to Complain, an essential guide, and also 101 habits of an effective complainer. So that's what we're going to talk about today, because the channel's all devoted to talking. And I suppose in Britain, one of the things that we don't do very well is complain, and we tend to kind of bottle it all up and just try and be, just keep it all down, and then suddenly it comes out, and then you're kind of into angry mode. And once you're into angry mode, you've lost it basically, haven't you? So what are say we were going to boil those 101 down to 5 key things, Helen. What do you think those 5 key things would be about how to be an effective complainer if you've got a problem?
Yeah, well, when you complain effectively, although we're saying it's good to talk, it's actually good to talk to put it in writing, because that's the biggest thing. It's like, it could be moaning to anybody and getting it out of your system, and that's absolutely good and fine. But to be effective, you really need to put it in writing, because if you do it on the phone, you haven't got the record. You have not got that track record. So if you want to take it to the ombudsman or the court or whatever, you haven't got that record. So you cannot take it further. It's your word against them. And also, if you're on the phone, you can forget stuff. You can start ranting. You can, if you're like me, you start losing it. Particularly if it gets more frustrating, or then it gets and they're not helpful. So definitely always in writing.
That's a really good tip. I mean, as an ex-lawyer, I know that you need evidence, don't you? And
yeah, that's right.
Well, I said to them on the phone, it is a bit of paper, so you keep your email trail.
Yep.
And keep everything, I suppose. So once you've got it in writing, make sure you've got a file for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So that's really important.
Okay.
Then and also, if a lot of companies are now making it really difficult for you to complain in writing, because they know then that you've got that record. So a really good tip is ceoemail.com. Because if that site, whatever company X, said, here's our phone number, or you've got to do it on a bot, or whatever, you can contact the CEO, and you can get the CEO's email address from ceoemail.com. Now, the CEO isn't going to respond to you personally, but it does escalate the matter. So if you have been talking to customer services, or you can't find a customer services email address, like Sainsbury's and all the biggies are doing it, you can get to the CEO, and so it goes to the executive team, and they will deal with it. And they quite often have that they're able to deal with it better, or that they've got more ownership on it than the customer service team, so they can actually have the freedom to do a little bit more quite often. Great. So you can beat the system and go to the CEO. Okay. Another tip is you always want to be objective. So that's quite good, in that you can do it in writing, and you can go run, delete. That's always useful. But you want to make sure that you're objective, because it's not about whether you've got a pink carpet and they wanted a blue one. You've got to say, this is what happened. This is what this is what happened. This is what went wrong, and this is how it breached the law. That's the next tip, really, is that you want to be sure of your consumer law, and it's not about being legalese. I'm no lawyer, but I know where to find the laws, which is in my book, because I don't remember them all. But the main one that you want to know is the Consumer Rights Act 2015. So that entitles you to goods and services services that are meant to be carried out with reasonable skill and care, and goods that are free from defects, are as described, So, or known as match the description, last reasonable length of time, and a satisfactory quality. So if that's a breach of any of that, then you're entitled to a refund, a repair, or replacement. But if it's within 30 days of purchase, it's a refund, and after 30 days, it's a repair or replacement, and the company can decide on that. So that's a good one to know. There are lots of others, but that's the main one that most people sort of use. And then if you're into different sectors, like, there'll be standards for telecoms and standards for energy and that kind of thing. You want to threaten where you'll take it, where you'll take the matter, right, if they don't deal with it satisfactorily. So I always end my emails with I look forward to hearing from you within 7 days. So you give them that deadline.
Very good.
You're giving them that deadline so that they know when they have to respond to you, even if it's a holding email to say we're looking into it and we will get back to you by. So I look forward to hearing from you within 7 days. If I do not receive a satisfactory response, I will not hesitate in taking the matter further, which will include but not be limited to, and then put the relevant information. So that might be, I'm going to share this information on relevant forums and review sites. I'm going to take it to the Energy Ombudsman or the Furniture and Home Improvement Ombudsman, or I'm going to take it to the Small Claims Court, or I'm going to do a Section 75 claim with my credit card. But if you put all those things in, they know you mean business, because quite often people will put, well, I'm going to take you to court, whatever. I'm going to start the small claims court process, and I will claim for this plus the fee plus my out-of-pocket expenses, and then they know you mean business.
Great.
So I think that's probably five tips there.
Yeah, I think so. What about complaining to your MP? Because one of my what I call my bonus daughters, my 2 stepdaughters, had a real problem with Eon recently, and in fact 2 of my other children, have had problems with Eon. So I can't believe that we're the only family in the universe that have had problems with Eon and charging too much. So my stepdaughter actually got some redress eventually by going to her MP, and then she stepped in. So Rachel Roberts, I think it was, and she stepped in, and then things started to happen. But she hadn't done some of those steps that you've recommended.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
She hasn't got the email trail, so that's a kind of bit of a problem.
Yeah. So, even an MP is going to be stuck then, because you haven't got the evidence. So, and you find if you go through all those processes, telecom and energy are the worst sectors. Telecoms would say even worse than energy. But when you've got the evidence trail, you go to the ombudsman, and the ombudsman will make a decision based on the evidence. So there's a limit really to what an MP can do anyway. And also my MP is Ian Duncan Smith. He's not going to do anything. So, I complained to him about lots of other things.
How effective has that been?
Well, I went to a surgery for him when he was Minister of Death. No, he wasn't Minister of Death, was he? He was Minister of, yes, well, some people might say he was Minister of Death, Department of Pensions and Working Pensions. Yeah. And when he introduced what was lovingly called the bedroom tax and those kinds of things, I decided to go to a surgery and see him. And I was all right. I was fine. I wasn't affected by, the changes. I wasn't affected by, having to use food banks. I wasn't affected by the changes in the benefit system. But I thought the most people who will not feel able to go and speak to him. They won't be able to speak to any MP, and they certainly won't want to go and speak to him. So I took it upon myself to go and speak to him. So I met with him and I recorded it. And he was awful. I thought he had no idea what was going on the ground. There's a food bank that had been opened for 3 months in his constituency, and he wasn't even aware that the food bank was open. So, it's just atrocious, really. So I think it's pot luck where you're. And whether, but you hear other stories about where people have complained to their MPs about things, and all sorts of things happen. They're really good. I just happen to think we're very unlucky.
Yeah. Okay, and so what about Twitter as well, or using their kind of social media to complain? Is that worth it? Because I remember once being stuck with a problem with Brittany Ferries, and I texted them, and then suddenly something happened, whereas I hadn't managed to get through on the phone. So I don't know whether that's something that you recommend, or not.
It's interesting. A lot of people will say, "Oh, I've complained on Twitter and I got this, and I've complained on Facebook and I got that." And quite often, it isn't a complaint; it's an inquiry,
Right.
or
Yeah, was true as well.
it's they've complained about something and it's gone into DMs, and people go, "Oh, why won't you put it publicly?" Because you can't put your personal information out there publicly. That's why. Well, it's one of the good reasons why. Obviously, they want to take it off. But what it is very good for is if you've been writing and complaining, and then you take to social media because you haven't dealt with it, it can speed things up, because then they'll say, what was your reference number, or gives your account number, or whatever, which obviously you have to do in DMs. So it's very useful, I think, for speeding things up, and it does do things, some things very quickly. Like for example, if you've got your supermarket delivery, and your grapes have gone off, or something's gone wrong, it's very easy to quickly DM your supermarket or tweet the supermarket and say, this has gone wrong. This is my account number, in a DM. This is my account number. This was the order at the time. Please give me a refund for this. Now that can be quicker than any other route. So it is, I think it's good for quick and easy and speeding things along complaints.
That's interesting as well, because I think one of the reasons that people get put off from doing complaints is it takes such a long time. I mean, I've got at the moment, we had a litter of Cocker Spaniel puppies on the 1st of September. They are all registered, but have we got the registration papers from the Kennel Club? No, we haven't. And we're in the same boat as loads of other people. But I know that if I phone them, which is the only method of actually achieving anything, once you manage to get through to a real person, it takes somewhere between an hour and 5 hours. So, it's like one of those things where I think, is it worth it? So it gets put to the bottom of the list. So
you go to ceoemail.com and you find the CEO of the Kennel Club and you write to them.
Yeah. There is a Facebook group called Kennel Club Fighting for Our Rights, and we've all been trying to contact the CEO, and sadly that's not happening either. So I think,
if you've paid for something, then you're mentioning the Consumer Rights Act and you're threatening to take them to small claims court. You watch them move.
Right. Okay. Thank you. That's a great tip. Well, Helen, this is absolutely wonderful, because you're saving people so much money as well. Because if you have to go to a lawyer, then obviously the costs really rattle up, don't they?
Yeah, and there's no need to go to a lawyer for simple, for consumer stuff, because even if you do find that you're going to end up going to court, quite often the threat is enough. But also, if you really want to show that you mean business, you can go to Money Claim Online, which is the small claims court online. It's similar in Wales and Scotland, and you can fill out all your details right up to the submit button when you pay. And you take a screenshot and you go, there you go. If I don't hear from you within 7 days, I'm going to click submit on that, pay my fee, and you will end up paying everything. And that I have yet to hear of anybody. I'm sure at some point it will fail with a really, really dreadful company, but at the moment that's got a really good success rate. Wow,
that sounds like a superpower way of dealing with things. Thank you. All right. Well, Helen, thank you once again. That's been fantastic. And so your books are How to Complain and 101 Habits of an Effective Complainer, which is clearly what you are. So, and we're going to drop down below how people can reach you, and you're available for media. You've done a lot of media, actually, haven't you, Helen?
Yeah, I tend to pop up now and again, banging on about consumer rights and topical consumer issues and stuff. Yeah, well, trying to empower people anyway.
Thank you for being there, and thank you for fighting for those consumer rights.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks very much, everybody. So goodbye for now, and we look forward to seeing you next week, Wednesday at 12 noon, and hit the subscribe button. Thanks very much, and hello, it's better to talk.